Hello there, Ray here, and today I would like to show you guys my simple fish mob farm. This farm is very simple, just consisting of some water, some magma blocks which you can easily get from the nether, some blocks to build on, as well as some structure blocks underneath, and then some rails to put on top of it. And that's pretty much all there is to this. Yet this farm is capable of producing over 6,200 items per hour. And you can get the tropical fish, the puffer fish, the cod, as well as salmon, and every single type of mob fish has a 5% chance of giving you bone meal, which is the most important part about this farm. We built and designed this simple farm up on our Twitch stream. If you guys would like to check out all the really cool designs that we build on there, be sure to check out the links down in the description. Even if you miss the streams, you can always watch the archived ones. I went through a lot of different types of variations of this farm throughout the different versions of the snapshot. In the beginning, we actually had the fish being able to spawn directly inside these bubble columns, but throughout the different changes, we had to tweak it. And this is the final design that we came up with. It's really nice because what we have here is the capability of the fish being able to spawn in this layer right here. And the way that we learned that fish spawn, if you guys watch my previous videos, is that fish need to have 3 meters to be able to spawn, so 3 meters worth of thickets. So they had to have one there, one here, as well as one here. In those 3 layers, the top 2 definitely have to be water. They're just plain water, can't be waterlogged or anything else. But this bottom layer here, this can be any type of waterlogged block, or it can even be bubble columns. And that's really important. So the way that it works is that the fish will spawn in the middle of the 3 columns of water. So it will spawn there. And then what we'll do is we'll AFK up there. And this will allow it so that in the radius around the player, about a 32-meter circle around the player, will allow any mob in the area to be able to walk about and pathfind. And when the fish will spawn up in here, they'll slowly pathfind around. And eventually they'll see all this area down here where the bubble columns are as a valid area for them to go swim in. And therefore they will swim down into it. Once they get into the currents, they will be pulled down and pulled against the magma blocks, and this will do damage to them. Now the fish only have 3 hearts, so it doesn't take too much to kill them off once they get pulled down. And then once they die, their loot will sit there and get pulled down against it as well. And then we have the hopper minecarts going underneath, and they'll just pick up all the loot and take it into the chest over here. And then we'll be able to collect it all. And you can see all the loot that we got. Here's after doing some tests, you can see we got a lot of variety between the tropical fish, the cod, and the puffer fish. And of course, most important part is the new bone meal loot that the fish can give off. So with snapshot 31A, there is now a 5% chance that all the different types of fish mobs will be able to drop a bone meal on their death. This is really nice because instead of having to take the bones and then craft them down into bone meal, you can do this where you can get a more automated system where you can just AFK this farm, get the bone meal, and then apply this to all your different farms that can use bone meal, such as like your tree farms, your grass farms, your flower farms, your sea pickle farms, or like your seagrass farms, or even now the coral farms. So I designed this farm so it's pretty easy to build up without needing a perimeter. As you can see, it's built up above a ocean. Now, the different types of oceans will depend on what type of fish will spawn inside of it. So like the tropical fish, they're able to spawn in the lukewarm as well as warm, and their deep variations. And then like the puffer fish can do the same thing as the tropical fish. And then with your cod, they can spawn in normal as well as cold and lukewarm oceans, and their deep variations. And then the salmon, they can spawn in the cold as well as the frozen, and as well as the different types of rivers. So the way that this farm is set up, the AFK point is right here on top of this glass. And from here, you can see that we're about 190 wide level. This will make it so that you are over 128 meters above the ocean below. That means any fish that spawn in the ocean will despawn because you're so far away. And therefore, every time one fish spawns inside of your farm here, they won't be able to despawn, while all the rest will despawn. This allows it so that eventually your fish farm will be able to fill it with fish, and they'll be able to get killed off, and you'll constantly get new loots. About 29 meters below the AFK point is the space in which the fish can spawn. The very top layer here is water sources, as you can see. Next one is flowing water, so pretty much this is all air, and this water is just flowing down into it. And the reason why we have flowing water here, this prevents the bubble columns from being able to continually to go upwards and invade into this space. This is important because the fish here have to be able to have water here. They can't have bubble columns or waterlogged blocks. So that will prevent them from coming up. And then underneath that, we have 3 meters worth of, or 4 meters worth of bubble columns. It really doesn't matter how much bubble columns you have. The more bubble columns or area down here that you have, it allows it so that the fish will see it and have more likelihood to go down. But obviously, this also gives more area for the fish to be able to swim against the bubble column and try to swim back up again. I went with 4 and it seemed to have pretty good rates. And the entire floor consists of magma blocks, which is pretty easy to collect once you go into the nether dimension. They're pretty plentiful there. Underneath that is some blocks that are holding up some rails. Now you don't have to go with completely power rails. You can skimp on them and do power rail every so often and try to make your power rails last as much as possible to make this more cheaper. And then all you have to do is put in some hopper minecarts to go back and forth. I'm using 2 of them because you get quite a bit of loot and you don't want the loot to despawn or them to be able to fill up, so not be able to pick up any more. And then what they do, I just got a simple unloading station here, which allows Hopper Cart to put items into here. Very simple. As you can see, this is be very quick to build up in your survival world. Just pillar up and over ocean, quickly build this up and go AFK. I also try to keep the sub chunk as low as possible, that way the spawns can be as quick as possible without having to dig out an entire perimeter. Although when you do stand up here, because all the fish in the ocean way below you will spawn and despawn, it can lower your TPS. So sometimes I got down to like 18 TPS because of all the despawning of the fish and spawning very quickly. You could try to avoid this by finding a spot that has a very small ocean, that way there's mostly land around you, that way you don't have so much fish spawning and despawning. Now you can also get dolphins to spawn inside of this farm. They don't spawn inside of frozen oceans or rivers, so you could use that to get rid of them. And they also, I found out that they don't spawn inside of the deep oceans if it's above sea level. So that's a cool trick that I discovered and allows you to be able to put these farms up in the air without having them in here. But since this is in a lukewarm, they will spawn in here, and they can spawn inside of all these water blocks. Since they don't have to just need water, they can also spawn inside of the bubble columns, and they're similar to like squid, so they need 2 meters worth of water to spawn. But the bottom water that is part of their spawning can be waterlogged block, but the top one has to be either water or bubble columns. And they will drop cod, which just go in with all the rest of the cod that you get. And the dolphins also die very quickly. They actually die faster since they spawn directly inside these columns. We had a lot of fun building as well as designing up these farms over the last few months on the Twitch stream. If you'd like to see how we actually design these farms from the scratch all the way up to a final product, I would highly recommend watching our streams. It's a lot of fun, a lot of interaction. You guys can ask questions and take part in designing up the farm. I have provided a world download to this farm down in the description so you can build it up in your very own world. An easy to build up fish mob farm that gives you good loot. So if you guys found this interesting, show me the like and share this with others. If you'd like to see more contraptions like this for 1.13 as well as farms, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell button. And if you have any questions about the farm, ask down in the comments. Bye bye!